If you are looking at selling your firm of solicitors in the UK, this video will hopefully help you. There's a few distinctions I want to introduce, and there's a few things that I want to run with you in this presentation. And they're all important, they are all considerations, and these are things for you to consider whenever we are talking about M&A, you selling your business, and that sort of thing. There's a very clear distinction, especially in solicitors' firms, and this has to do with their structure and how they are implemented in the first place. So we have limited companies and then we have partnerships, and a lot of law firms tend to be partnerships. And obviously, you have to think of the different considerations there. The liabilities, how liabilities are, whose responsibilities are the liabilities, if that makes any sense. Any taxes and how that affects your company or your partnership or you personally. Any agreements between partners and how you can get your partners on board with this, or how you might struggle to get your partners involved with this operation. We have then HMRC filings and any other filings that might have any other considerations around this. So the distinction between limited company and partnership, I think, is quite important, and it's something for you to look at all the bigger picture when it comes to potentially selling your company. The main point I want you to take away from this presentation overall is that a law firm is just another business. It's a business at the end of the day. It's a means of living. It's a business, it's a cash flow, it's an EBITDA, it's a seller's income, is your way of life. It's how you live your life through your practice. It's a business. You know, at the end of the day, your business makes money, collects payments and pays invoices, and it's just another business. So you have to think of the buyer, and you have to think of your business from the outside looking in. And this is something you have to be prepared to do. And it's something that I want you to become quite adept at doing. From now on, how would someone external look at your business from an acquisition standpoint? And you putting yourself in other person's shoes is something very, very useful. Now, there's another thing that doesn't really matter whenever it comes to law firms, and this has to do with high-level skills, high-level skilled people. Things like surgeons and doctors and solicitors, accountants fall in this category as well. Your accolades, your field of expertise doesn't really matter. You know, it doesn't really matter. What matters here is the operation, the business attached to it. So if you have a solicitor's firm that is heavily reliant or 100% reliant on your accolades, your field of expertise, then we are going to have a problem potentially, because how can another solicitor step in your shoes and start collecting royalties, as it were? It's going to be very, very, very hard. So that's another thing to think about. And then I've put together a few considerations that I like or I don't like about solicitors' firms. The first one is that it is heavily regulated and has very high barriers to entry. I would suspect that if I want to set up a solicitor's firm, I have to adhere to very strict rules and regulations. I have to first have practiced law for a very long time and then earn my stripes, as it were. And eventually down the line, I would be able to set up my own law firm or solicitors firms or to become a barrister. So very high barriers to entry. I really like that. And companies that have barriers to entry that are quite high tend to command higher prices. Why? Because if I have £500,000 in cash, it's a lot easier to set up a barbershop than it is to set up a solicitor's firm because of all the rules and regulations and considerations around it. So effectively, for me to compete with you, it would take me a lot more money than if I were to compete with the restaurant opposite your office, for example. High barriers to entry is very good, and there's a high level of downside and liability. So if you lose a court case, then you might have to pay fees. You might have to pay salaries even though you haven't collected any victory laps or any royalties or monies when you win damages, for example, on behalf of your clients. So one good thing and one bad thing. High barriers to entry, wonderful. The bad thing is there's a high level of downside or potential liability, and obviously you will have your insurance and you will have your premiums that you pay and your rail guards around it. But those are another two initial considerations. With regards to your operation, your systems and processes are extremely important whenever we talk about selling a business. So if your PA knows how the company works and you know how the company works, but I don't know how the company works after spending 6 months in your business, then you probably need to systematize a lot of your processes, and you need to streamline things, and you need to make sure that you have a well-oiled machine that works standardized, that isn't at the whims of an admin person or Excel spreadsheets, for example. Those tend to be quite labor intensive, and we all do them slightly different, and the learning curve might be a bit steeper than if we use Salesforce, for example, or Monday.com. I'm just throwing out some other alternatives and some other companies. So yeah, your systems and processes. If you read the E-Myth by Michael Gerber, he talks about this. I'm not affiliated with the guy whatsoever, but it's all about building processes and systems within your company that makes me or anyone else understand and get accustomed to how your business runs, and doesn't rely on you knowing the password for everything and your PA having to ask you what the password is, that sort of thing. The second big consideration in this next chapter is your USP. How different are you to your end consumer? Not to you. I'm going to say that again because this is arguably one of the most important things I will say today. And I won't say too many good things today or too useful things today. Your USP. How different are you to the eyes of the consumer, not yourself? You can say you are different, but do I know you're different? Or do people still shop by price? If you are looking at the prices of some of the Magic Circle, the Big Five or whatever they're called, Linklaters, for example, they will command very high prices. Whereas, Andrew Smith Solicitors might command cheaper prices because they haven't garnered that brand equity. They don't have that that flavor, that difference in the service or the way they do things or the way they are perceived to be doing things. Perception is reality in these things. So how different are you to the end consumer? And if you're not objectively different, what could you do to be objectively different? Very, very big topic. Something for you to think about. That's something for you to spend 2 hours writing down how you are different or how you are going to be different. And I would really, really harp on that. The third one would be your competition. What sort of competition do you have? And where is that competition? Is that competition nationwide? Is that competition regionalized? Is that competition by field? Do you do many different fields in law, or are you specialized? If you specialize in litigation or M&A or a specific criminal offense, you will be likely to command higher prices than if you specialize in everything and you're a bit of a jack of all trades. Then it's harder to compete with people who say they are specialists in one specific field. So how is your competition doing things? What separates yourself from your competition? Another massive thing, and this is point number 4, and this is again something that I see lacks in the sector and has been lacking in the sector for a very long time, and there's only a handful of people literally in the world that are lawyers or solicitors or barristers who understand this, and they are literally winning, and they are extremely wealthy, and for whatever reason there's an apprehension of solicitors to do this, and it's your marketing. I follow many solicitors firms on Instagram or Facebook or what have you, and the marketing is appalling. The marketing is absolute garbage. It's horrible. It's an afterthought even. The most important thing in business is to get and keep customers. How you do things is important. Your ability as a solicitor, as a barrister, is extremely important. I understand that. Getting results is important. Everything is important. But getting more customers and keeping more customers is the most important thing in business. So if you want to sell your solicitor's firm and you have an extra 50 or 100,000 pounds in the kitty, instead of buying yourself whatever you want to buy yourself, I would highly recommend you give that money to someone who knows what they are doing with marketing, and to potentially give you many returns on that money in 12 months or 24 months time. The marketing edge you can gain in your field by being slightly different in your marketing is absolutely incredible. And accountants don't do it. Surgeons, obviously, for private companies, private hospitals, private practices, don't really do it that well. But the scope and the progression and the opportunity for a solicitor's firm to invest in marketing and increase the value of the company is absolutely there, and it isn't captured. I don't really know why. You should be marketing your business instead of, liaising with different people and writing up documents and drafting things to give to barristers and all that sort of jazz. That, again, it's very important. I am not belittling it. All I'm saying is you want to be making the thing bigger, and the only way to make the thing bigger is for you to spend on marketing. Rant over. Point number 5 is, again, comes back to the E-myth. Are you the firm? Does everything rely on you? Let's say we both specialize in, I don't know, because I'm not a solicitor, commercial litigation, and we are both commercial litigators, but you have a field of expertise and you have a very particular way of doing things. You're very well known and people come to you because you are your law firm. How the heck am I going to step into your shoes and buy the company off of you if I'm not you? So are you the firm, or are you and your partners the firm? If that's the case, we are going to have to construct different avenues on how we can detangle ourselves from our solicitors firm so that it can work like a machine without us in it, or with minimal input from us. Another very good topic for you to think about. Number 6 is your cash flow and level of reinvestment. There's a concept called ROCE, return on capital employed, return on capital deployed. A lot of people call it in different ways, but at the end of the day, it's the same thing. Return on capital employed is the level of reinvestment and the level of return that you get on that investment. If you buy a buy-to-let and we spend £100,000, we might get maybe £6,000 rent. That's our return on investment. But what would happen if I invested £100,000 in marketing and I got £1.2 million in deals in your firm in 12 months? The return would be, again, over 10x. That's the return on investment, return on capital employed. How much are you growing, if you are growing at all? That's something that's a very good consideration whenever we talk about buying and selling businesses. And then your level of cash flow. At the end of the day, you are your cash flow. Businesses are cash flow machines. They are money-making machines. You put £1 in terms of marketing or sales, and then £1.20 comes out. That's how a business really works. So your cash flow is going to be looked at and examined, and all your numbers are going to be scrutinized, and whether your new office was justified or that amount of money should have gone into marketing or hiring 10 other people. I don't know. I would have to look at the numbers for me to give advice, or for me to look at the value of your business. And then number 7 is, who could buy your firm? Is there anyone that could buy your firm? Instead of you listing your business willy-nilly, you might know someone who might be the perfect candidate to buy your firm. And that's someone that you should probably connect with and maybe say, hey, John, we've known each other for 35 years. I am looking at selling the company. Would you be interested? Is there anyone else in the field that is doing acquisitions, roll-up acquisitions, maybe private equity, venture capitalists, for example? Your sector is very prone to being rolled up, which means that there's a lot of people in your field that have big operations and just buy different little companies and consolidate them into bigger companies. It's a sector prone to that. So who could buy your firm? Again, think about it, and potentially this could be another task for you to undertake. And then your valuation isn't a figure plucked out of thin air. Your valuation is someone digging into the numbers, someone digging into the cash flow, someone digging into the EBITDA, someone adding back any expenses, someone looking at your VAT liability, someone looking at how you generate your money, someone looking at all the financials or the assets or the liabilities, every single line, and coming up with a value to your business. If you say you want 5 million for your law firm, you need to have a justification for that number. You can't just say, I want this because I want to buy a yacht and disappear in Mallorca. You have to have some justification behind the numbers. And so if you want to get your business valued, you can contact us. That's something we do every single day. And if you wish to have someone to bounce ideas with when it comes to buying and selling your company, that's something we do as well. We are not brokers. We do not do brokerage services, but we help people like yourself transition from owning the business to no longer owning the business, and how that works. Initial consideration, any payment plans, how businesses are sold, how businesses are bought, and any other inquiries that you may have, because obviously every single company is different and yours is no different. So if you want to get your company valued, or you wish to speak to us, please leave a comment below, or you can get our contact details in the channel.